Okay, so welcome to Circle of Hands. In this game, we are looking at this location. The top map there on the left is an area roughly the size of the Levant, the end of the Mediterranean, and similarly configured. And it's called the Crescent Land because of its shape, and the setting is very much Iron Age fantasy. It's much easier to explain here in the Nordic areas because for everyone else, they understand the Crusades and they understand the British. You know, if I have anything like Saxon or anything like that, they think British heights. That's it. They can't think of anybody like that anywhere else. And then if you come over to the Nordic areas, they can only think of Vikings all the time. Never stops. This is different. This is very much Iron Age in the sense that it's. I like to think that kind of as the Baltic shore in the 900s, roughly. It's a backwater. You know, nobody knows about it or does anything there, and the technological commercial connection with the rest of the world is about at as low a point as it could be. But the culture is freely stolen from whatever is the root of Scandinavia, German, and English, right? Whatever that was. And yet it is not exactly a parallel. I have simply stolen it for this fantasy setting and repurposed different things, as you will see. So where to start? The land is completely torn and destroyed by a magical war. The culture, what that partly has contributed to what you will quickly see is a somewhat ruined and dystopian landscape. The principles of magic are extremely uncompromising. There is black magic, there is white magic, and they are both quite terrible, and they're both quite destructive, and both utterly, we don't even know what they are about. If you ask somebody who is committed to one of them, they will go blah, 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 blah. But who knows? People don't just make that up. Well, the place, who knows, would have been just converted into nothing but a metaphysical wasteland, except that there has been one area where people have chosen to oppose the war, and they seem to have strangely have succeeded. That is the area running along the coast in the center, so in the shadow of those mountains. That area is called Roka. And the regions around it have also been restabilized due to this. Now, how did they oppose these powerful magics and the fact that some wizard somewhere says, well, I shall defeat the other side, and then creates havoc while doing so? They found a way to use both kinds at once, which is crazy. So therefore, your characters are all veterans of this world. Roka in particular has cracked the power of the warring wizards, and most of the most powerful creatures are not found there anymore. And the regions to the south, Spur with its little islands, that's one place, and then up to the north there are the forested areas called Fenberga, and then way out into the west, into the inland, are these river plains called Tanarion. All of these are considered part of the Crescent Land, and a lot of people are coming from those other places because the war in Roke also was a bit of a social leveler. This is not medieval, of course. We do not have serfs and fiefdoms and things like that. But still, social ranks are a real thing, and the leveling effects of everybody in Roch kind of combining their efforts. There is a young leader. We can call him the young king. We do not see him in play, or we don't even spend any time with your ordinary lives. A group of people, veterans of this conflict from various places in the Crescent Land, they are still going. It's like the war is still going for you. And a lot of you know each other. You are informally referred to as the circle. And every so often, if one of you hears about something, you'll tell some other people, and you all decide to go do something about it. So don't think of yourself on missions. Nobody assigned you to go do this. You are, as I like to say, you are still on go, and therefore travel about every so often. Maybe not even very often. You all have lives somewhere. So the way this game is played, although we are not doing this just for today, is that you would play different characters. Every time we played another episode, you would pick a different character to play from the one you played last time. So the pool of characters is a common pool. And the decisions they make and the changes they undergo are what you receive if you choose that character next time. So in the ordinary play, if it were the four of us, we would actually have 10 of these characters sitting around. Well, insofar as they survive.
How many do you have now?
6. I just didn't feel like making. Didn't feel like making 12. Yeah. But they would have been created by all of us. Every person would have created 2 to start.
Oh, okay.
And then we would just throw them all in the middle. And so then pick one to play. So in this sense, think of you being capable of playing any of these characters, and some of them at any given point will not be in play. So these happen to be the ones. So I will tell you a little bit about where we are going, because if you look at the red arrow and the little blow up, you will see that coastal community, and this is part of Roch. And then some pictures that correspond. You can see there are some cliffs there. So the cliffs are depicted, and a little bit of what the community part by the docks looks like. And also you can see that island, and then that's what the island looks like from the shore. So the reason that you go is that one or more of you have learned that sailors are starting to avoid the area, and it's particularly concerning because they are fearful of Irvaja. Irvaja is the black magic. And Roch has been, if you want to use the word, purged of demons and things like that, and for the most part, and therefore, or any organized sense of using them. And so the idea of that cropping up somewhere. I mean, sure, an ogre or two, okay, hey, let's go off and do some good, everybody. That's one thing. But this kind of information is quite alarming. That would be enough to get one of you sitting up and visiting a friend and say, let's go.
What was the name of the black magic?
RBAJA. Irvaja, which is a silly word I made up in the early 1990s for the original draft I did of this game.
I appreciate very much that you spelled it out, because I am very visual with words.
Yes.
So that helped me a lot.
Good. I am too, but I will also point out that when I made it up, I knew nothing of Swedish pronunciation. So therefore, it is a completely impenetrable word in Swedish. So,
Albaya.
Yeah.
Let's go with Albaya.
Yeah, it's not so bad. I was thinking of this kind of pseudo-orcish Irvaja, kind of nonsense, demon talk in movies. So the white magic is similarly ridiculously named Emborion. J.R.R. Tolkien covers his ears in shock. You know, what did you do to my olive? So anyway, the idea, therefore, is that the three of you would be traveling to go to this place. You do know its name. It's actually a new name. That's almost practically its name, Yanu, which is new home. And because this area was absolutely shattered during the war, and people have been rebuilding and setting up a better, more functioning community now. This coastline has always been victimized by the raiders from Spur, who are notorious for sort of choosing whether to raid or trade when they feel, whatever they feel like, whatever they see when they get there, they decide whether it's raiding or trading done. And the fortress to the north, which has also been restored, is now providing more support for the coastline. So the idea that you could actually build a reasonable, fishing or seaside, community here is much more functional. So you can see why people would call it, new home. So for lots of reasons. So that's what you know about it, and not much else. This is a very low-tech culture. All of you are well aware that after the information travels a few kilometers, that it is very dubious. So let's take a look then at your characters. You will notice they are from different places. Some of them are from Rope, some of them are not. And you can choose whichever one you want from the 6. You will note that they all have spells. None of them are wizards, but all the circle members have received some training in magic. And again, you can cast both kinds of magic. So the spells are marked as either black or white. And the backgrounds are there. The social ranks are nowhere, they are not medieval, as I say, but they are quite marked in many ways in terms of lifestyle. So if you choose gentry or peasant, it's going to matter a lot. Gentry is kind of, I have my criticism, everybody has their criticisms of the television show Vikings, but I will say that they depict gentry, like with the main character, pretty accurately. He has a farm. I mean, gentry basically just means that, people work for you. It doesn't mean you don't work. So it's, the wealth gap in this culture is very small by our standards. Most of the technology for metal is wrought iron. So the weapons, they're heavy, and they are also, well, they would be, I should back up. The weapons are nowhere near as high grade as you might imagine from a lot of fantasy fiction. The mail is just an overcoat of very basic iron link, and takes a lot of care, and hardly anyone has it. It's not, there are no shaped pieces for arms and legs. The helmets, except for the really good ones, the helmets are basically just like, wear a hat. and so a lot of the fighting where, your arms and legs are vulnerable. The shield work is a big deal. Knowing how to use a shield properly is really important. That will keep you alive. All the circle members, if they don't come from a martial background, they are all trained in basic spear and shield work. The spear is the weapon of the culture. And as the spear is very, very marginalized in fantasy fiction. It's a terrible thing. I mean, it's a really, really nasty thing, and
Or rather, every weapon except the sword is more important
Seriously.
than how the sword is represented in our medieval fantasy.
Absolutely correct. And the sword here is not that common. Only the gentry, who basically only know how to fight, a little bit contrary to what I just said, but in terms of dedicated work, they don't know much more. The sword's this thing.
That's impressive.
Yeah, well, that's the sword, meaning that it is a dedicated killing weapon. It's unlike every single other weapon. It's not repurposed from a tool, and it's and the really good ones are carburized steel, which means they quenched in water, so the outer layer is steel. So but that's about as far as the weapon technology has managed to get at this point. Slow recontact with other cultures and sharing of information is starting to recover some things. The mines in the area can yield the materials for brass, but bronze things are mostly remelted or melted down from existing bronze things and remolded. So, bronze is a much more sophisticated technology than they can quite put together here yet, but people know about it. And so that should help. Any idea on characters to choose?
I think it's pretty random, not really much to go on. If everyone can have weapons and a little bit of magic.
I'm gonna be Ansgar von Ernst.
Oh, okay.
What's your deal now?
Oh my God, are you? I can't believe you picked that one. But go on. Yes, go on.
Seriously?
Yeah, it was like, yeah. Really? You chose that one? No, but go ahead. Yeah.
Yes, yes, I did. Should I just
Yeah, you should a little bit. Yeah.
tell the stats, or should
The
I
numbers
just?
are not very important. The social rank is or homeland is one thing.
Yeah, I'm gentry from Tamarian.
So it's pretty inland, right? So far inland, and go ahead. Highest social rank.
I'm good with that martial arts. Should I tell my key event, or should
All
that
of
be
you know
secret?
it's not a secret. It's all you all know each other a little bit. You've all fought together before.
Yeah.
You have some contact with one another, and you have you are committed to this idea. You're sworn. In fact, you're in Germanic. It would be knecht, which is not knight in the medieval sense, but it means you are sworn to something. And so that's why they're called circle knights in the game. But the point is, yes, you all know of each other.
Yes. So Ansgar is a very big and muscular man. He has the hair color. What usually is the predominant hair color?
It's lifted again from the historical regions. So think of the Baltic, Germanic, Nordic.
So maybe
the light brown to actually any shade of brown. There is, of course, enough genetic cultural contact for some diversity.
Yeah.
But the typical would be what most people elsewhere in the world think of Nordic Slavic interface, right? If that.
So he has brown hair, not very light, but lightish. But he has a white blaze, just pure white in his hair.
This is a fairly common genetic quirk in the culture in the region. Mismatched eyes are also a little more common than you would find in modern day. So, just so happens. And the way there's a couple of just descriptive words there about what he's like.
Yeah, brave, brutal, blonde, and the white blaze in his hair.
Yeah. And so, the gentry point is that you don't have much experience with anything except the, I might as well say it. These are fairly exotic in terms of just encountering this for the first time. So I will go to what it says here.